Welcome to Movie Vault. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most terrifying and iconic creatures in modern television history, the Demogorgon from Stranger Things Season 1. This monstrous entity emerged from the upside down and left audiences on the edge of their seats with its chilling first appearance. But how exactly did this terrifying beast make its entry into the world of Hawkins, Indiana? Let's break it down in all its spine-chilling detail. The Demogorgon's ominous arrival, setting the stage. The Demogorgon is introduced in Stranger Things in one of the most suspenseful opening sequences of any TV series. Before we even see the creature, the show masterfully builds tension, making us feel its presence long before it fully emerges from the shadows. The story begins on a seemingly ordinary night at Hawkins National Laboratory, a top-secret government facility conducting mysterious experiments. Scientists there have been working on classified research involving alternate dimensions, unaware of the horror they are about to unleash. Inside the dimly lit, sterile corridors of the facility, alarms suddenly begin blaring. Red emergency lights flash, and the camera follows a frantic scientist, Dr. Sam Owens, as he dashes down the hallway in sheer panic. Something unseen is stalking him. We hear strange, guttural sounds, almost like a mix between deep growls and unearthly clicks. He desperately reaches the elevator at the end of the hall, frantically pressing the button as the unseen terror closes in behind him. For a moment, the tension is unbearable, just silence and his panicked breathing. The doors slide open, and he leaps inside, hammering the buttons to escape. But before the doors can fully shut, a horrifying force rips him upward into the darkness above. We never see what attacked him. Not yet. But that moment of unseen horror sets the stage for the Demogorgon's terrifying reign over the first season. Will Byers' encounter, the monster hunts its first prey. The first time the Demogorgon truly enters the story in a direct way is during its terrifying encounter with Will Byers on the night of November 6, 1983. Will, a quiet and intelligent 12-year-old boy, has just finished a long night of Dungeons & Dragons with his best friends, Mike, Lucas, and Dustin. He races home on his bike through the dark backroads of Hawkins, unaware that something unnatural is lurking in the shadows. As he rides past Mirkwood, a secluded stretch of road near the Hawkins woods, his bike light flickers, a telltale sign that something is wrong. Then, out of nowhere, he hears an eerie, otherworldly growl. His breath quickens, and he looks over his shoulder. A massive humanoid figure stands silhouetted against the dim streetlights. It's too far away to make out its details, but its presence is unmistakable. Will doesn't hesitate. He kicks his bike into high gear and races home. His heart pounds as he speeds down the road, his breath visible in the cold night air. He swerves into his driveway, abandons his bike, and dashes inside, locking the door behind him. But the danger is already inside. The lights in the Byers' house begin flickering uncontrollably, buzzing like a swarm of angry insects. Will knows something isn't right. His instincts scream at him to hide. He grabs his rifle from the shed and creeps toward the door, his hands trembling. The house is eerily silent. Then, a deep, wet, clicking sound echoes from behind him. He spins around, but there's nothing there. Nothing but shadows. Then, the light above him explodes. In that moment, the camera shows us a glimpse of something monstrous, something out of this world. A grotesque humanoid creature, standing tall, its flesh a sickly gray, its head shaped like an open, gaping flower lined with razor-sharp teeth. It doesn't speak. It doesn't snarl. It simply moves with an unnatural, jerking motion, almost like it's phasing between dimensions. Will barely has time to react before. It strikes! The screen cuts to black. Will Byers is gone. And with that, the Demogorgon has officially arrived. The aftermath. The town of Hawkins is changed forever. With Will missing, the events of Stranger Things Season 1 are set into motion. His disappearance leaves his mother Joyce in a state of desperation, convinced that something supernatural has taken him. The Demogorgon continues to terrorize Hawkins, preying on unsuspecting victims and pulling them into the upside down, an alternate dimension where the air is thick with decay and the ground is covered in strange vine-like tendrils. The creature remains a constant, lurking presence, appearing through flickering lights, strange distortions, and the chilling sounds of its otherworldly cries. But what makes the Demogorgon so terrifying is not just its appearance, it's the way it moves, the way it stalks its prey with unseen precision. It doesn't hunt like an animal. It plays with its victims, toying with them before pulling them into a fate worse than death. It is not just a monster. It is a nightmare given form. And this is just the beginning. Final thoughts. A horror icon is born. The Demogorgon's introduction in season 1 of Stranger Things is a masterclass in horror storytelling. It's not just the creature itself that's terrifying. It's how the show builds up to its reveal with suspense, eerie sound design, and the fear of the unknown. By the time we finally see the Demogorgon in full, it's not just a monster. It's a force of nature, something that shouldn't exist in our world but does. This moment cemented Stranger Things as one of the best supernatural horror series of its time, and set the stage for even greater threats to come. And with that, we conclude our breakdown of the Demogorgon's chilling entry into Stranger Things. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another Movie Vault breakdown. Until next time, keep the lights on and watch out for flickering bulbs, because you never know what's lurking in the shadows. That's the longest, most detailed breakdown of the Demogorgon's entry you'll find anywhere. Let me know if you'd like me to tweak anything for your voiceover style. Welcome to Movie Vault. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most terrifying and mysterious creatures in Stranger Things, the Mind Flayer. Introduced in Season 2, this towering, otherworldly entity isn't just another monster. It's the true mastermind of the Upside Down, a being far more powerful and sinister than anything Hawkins has ever faced. So, buckle up, because we're about to break down everything you need to know about the Mind Flayer, its origins, abilities, motivations, and its chilling influence over Hawkins. What is the Mind Flayer? The Mind Flayer, also referred to as the Shadow Monster, is an enormous and highly intelligent entity from the Upside Down. Unlike the Demogorgon from Season 1, which was more of a predatory creature, the Mind Flayer is a conscious, malevolent force with hive mind control, making it a true overlord of the dark dimension. Imagine a nightmarish, spider-like creature, stretching hundreds of feet tall, with sprawling, shadowy limbs twisting across the sky. But what makes the Mind Flayer truly terrifying isn't just its appearance, it's its ability to control and corrupt everything it touches. From the moment it appears in Stranger Things 2, it becomes clear that this isn't just another monster. It's a cosmic-level threat, one that sees humanity as nothing more than insects to be assimilated or destroyed. The Mind Flayer's connection to the Upside Down. Unlike other creatures from the Upside Down, which act on instinct, the Mind Flayer has a clear goal: to spread its influence and conquer the human world. It exists in the Upside Down, a parallel dimension that mirrors our own, but is twisted, decayed, and filled with death. But the Mind Flayer isn't just a ruler of this dark dimension. It is the Upside Down itself. Every vine, every shadowy mist, every demonic creature in that world is an extension of its will. It doesn't just live in the Upside Down. It is the Upside Down, making it nearly impossible to destroy. So, when 11 closed the gate at the end of Season 1, trapping the Demogorgon inside, it wasn't the end of the Upside Down's influence. The Mind Flayer was still lurking, waiting for another way into Hawkins, and it found its way through Will Byers. The Mind Flayer's possession of Will Byers. Season 2 takes a much darker turn when it reveals that the Mind Flayer doesn't need to physically enter our world. It can possess and control people from a distance. After surviving the Upside Down in Season 1, Will Byers begins experiencing terrifying visions of a monstrous, shadowy figure. These aren't just nightmares, they're premonitions, warnings that the Mind Flayer is breaking through into Hawkins. Slowly but surely, the Mind Flayer infects Will, using him as a spy and a vessel. This possession allows it to see and hear everything Will experiences, making it one step ahead of Hawkins' heroes at every turn. And the more control it gains, the more pain and suffering Will endures. He begins speaking in cryptic phrases, reacting violently to heat and drawing disturbing images of tunnels spreading beneath Hawkins, a sign that the Mind Flayer is already expanding its reach into our world. This possession isn't just a physical invasion, it's a psychological horror, trapping Will in his own mind while the Mind Flayer pulls the strings. The Mind Flayer's army. The Upside Down's expansion. As the Mind Flayer gains control over Will, it starts spreading its influence beneath Hawkins. The town's pumpkins rot, the soil turns black and lifeless, and underground vines begin to grow, creating a network that connects our world to the Upside Down. This is where the Mind Flayer's true power is revealed. It doesn't just want to consume, it wants to corrupt and control everything. Through its hive mind abilities, it begins infecting small creatures, like rats and demo dogs, forcing them to serve as extensions of its will. And as its infection spreads, it creates an army, a force that will eventually lead to the horrifying events of Season 3. The final battle, closing the gate. As the Mind Flayer's control over Will grows stronger, our heroes realize that they have to cut off its connection to our world. Since Will is acting as a host, the only way to break free is to exorcise the Mind Flayer from his body. And the key to doing that? Heat. The Mind Flayer thrives in cold temperatures, using them to survive in our world. So Joyce, Jonathan, and Mike force Will into a heated sauna-like room, turning up the temperature until the Mind Flayer is forced out of his body. Meanwhile, Eleven and the others storm Hawkins' lab, where the gate to the Upside Down is still open. In an epic display of power, Eleven channels all of her energy, using her telekinetic abilities to seal the gate shut, cutting off the Mind Flayer's access to our world. And just like that, the battle seems to be over. The gate is closed, Will is free, and Hawkins returns to normal, or so it seems. The Mind Flayers return, the shadow still looms. As Season 2 ends, we get one of the most chilling moments in Stranger Things history. The kids are at the snowball dance, enjoying a rare moment of peace, but in the Upside Down, the Mind Flayer is still watching. The final shot reveals its towering, shadowy form, looming over Hawkins Middle School, proving that it isn't gone, just waiting for its next move. This moment perfectly sets up the events of Season 3, where the Mind Flayer evolves into an even more terrifying force, using the Flayed to create a monstrous new body in our world. Final thoughts. The Mind Flayer is more than just a monster. It's an ancient, cosmic-level entity with intelligence, strategy, and an insatiable hunger to spread and consume. It isn't just interested in attacking Hawkins. It wants complete domination. And what makes it even scarier is that it never truly dies. Even after being cut off from our world, it finds new ways to return, growing stronger and more ruthless with each attack. So, what do you think? Is the Mind Flayer the greatest villain in Stranger Things history? And what do you think its true origins are? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dive recaps, breakdowns, and theories right here on Movie Vault. Welcome to Movie Vault. Today, we're diving deep into the terrifying mastermind of the Upside Down, the true villain of Stranger Things, the Dark Wizard himself, Vecna. If you thought the Demogorgon and the Mind Flayer were bad, think again. Vecna isn't just another monster. He's the architect of everything, the one who's been pulling the strings since the beginning. From his twisted origins as Henry Creel to his rise as the most powerful entity in the Upside Down, today we're breaking down everything you need to know about Vecna, his powers, his victims, and his ultimate plan to consume Hawkins in darkness. So grab your Walkman and turn up the volume, because we're about to face Stranger Things' most terrifying villain yet. Who is Vecna? The Dark Lord of the Upside Down. Vecna is the main antagonist of Stranger Things Season 4, a horrifying, undead-like creature who preys on people's deepest fears and traumas, slowly breaking their minds before brutally killing them. With his decayed, skeletal appearance, his deep, sinister voice, and his ability to invade minds, Vecna is unlike any villain Hawkins has ever faced. But the scariest part? Vecna wasn't always a monster. He wasn't even from the Upside Down. He was once human. Before he became Vecna, he was Henry Creel, a young boy with incredible psychic powers and a dangerous hatred for humanity. The tragic origin of Henry Creel, a born monster. Henry Creel's story begins in 1959, when his family moved into the Creel house in Hawkins. At first, they seemed like a normal family, but Henry wasn't like other kids. He had psychic abilities, allowing him to manipulate objects, read minds, and even control living creatures. However, instead of using his powers for good, Henry despised the world around him. He believed that humans were weak, flawed, and undeserving of life. As he grew older, he began experimenting with his abilities, twisting the minds of animals, torturing them for fun. But soon, animals weren't enough. He turned his powers on his own family, breaking their minds from the inside, forcing them to relive their worst fears. His mother, realizing something was wrong, planned to send him away. But Henry wouldn't let that happen. One night, he murdered his mother and sister, using his powers to snap their bones and crush their bodies, the same way he would later kill his victims as Vecna. His father, Victor Creel, was falsely accused of the murders and sent to Penhurst Asylum, while Henry vanished without a trace. Becoming number one, the first test subject. After the Creel murders, Henry was captured by Dr. Brenner, who saw his incredible abilities and decided to use him as a test subject in the MK Ultra-style experiments at Hawkins' lab. Henry became 001, the first psychic experiment. However, Brenner realized just how dangerous Henry truly was, so he implanted a power-dampening chip in his neck, stopping him from using his full abilities. Years passed, and Henry watched as Brenner created an entire generation of children with psychic powers, including a young girl known as 11 Wen. But Henry never forgot what Brenner did to him. He hated him. He hated humanity. And he waited for the perfect moment to get his revenge, the creation of Vecna, the battle with 11. Years later, Henry, now disguised as a friendly nurse named Peter Ballard, befriended 11, manipulating her into trusting him. When 11 removed his power-dampening chip, Henry's true power was unleashed, and he went on a rampage, massacring every test subject in the lab. But when he tried to convince 11 to join him, she refused. The two engaged in a psychic battle, and in a moment of pure rage, 11 overpowered him, launching him through a rift and into the Upside Down, the very first time the gate was opened. As he fell into the dark dimension, Henry's body was torn apart by the energy of the Upside Down, mutating him into something inhuman. And from the ashes of Henry Creel, Vecna was born. Vecna's powers, the ultimate nightmare. Vecna is the most powerful entity in Stranger Things, even surpassing the Mind Flayer. Psychic mind control. Vecna's greatest ability is his telepathic domination. Unlike 11, who mainly moves objects, Vecna can fully invade people's minds, manipulating their thoughts and emotions. He feeds off trauma, targeting people who have deep, unresolved pain, breaking their minds before brutally killing them. 2. The Ritual of Four Gates. Vecna's plan in Season 4 is pure evil. By killing 4 people, he tears open massive rifts between the Upside Down and Hawkins, creating gateways that will merge both worlds together. Each time he kills someone, Hawkins cracks apart, bringing his nightmare closer to reality. 3. The Master of the Mind Flayer. The biggest twist in Season 4? Vecna was actually controlling the Mind Flayer all along. When he entered the Upside Down, he found the dark, swirling entity and shaped it into an extension of his own will. This means that every event from Season 1 onward, the Demogorgon, the Upside Down spreading, Will's possession, was all Vecna's doing. Vecna's plan and the final battle. In the epic climax of Stranger Things 4, the Hawkins crew launches an all-out attack on Vecna. Nancy, Steve, and Robin attack his physical form in the Creel house, setting him on fire. Max is used as bait, but Vecna still manages to mortally wound her, leaving her in a coma. 11, in a desperate battle, uses her psychic abilities to weaken him, stopping him from finishing the ritual. Even after being attacked, Vecna survives, his physical body severely injured, but his plan nearly complete. As Stranger Things 4 ends, Hawkins is left shattered, the Upside Down bleeding into reality, and the sky filled with red lightning. Vecna's final words echo in the air. This is only the beginning. What's next for Vecna? As Stranger Things 5 approaches, one thing is clear. Vecna isn't finished. He's still alive, still plotting. And now, with the barrier between worlds collapsing, he may finally achieve his ultimate goal. Will 11 and the gang be able to stop him once and for all? Or has Vecna already won? Let us know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dive breakdowns right here on Movie Vault.